I'd been at Meridian Marketing for 7 years. 7 years of showing up early, staying late, and genuinely caring about the work. I wasn't just grinding away at a job. I believed in what we were building. My name was on campaigns that won industry awards. I trained new hires. I mentored interns. I was the person people came to when they needed something done right. Then Marcus got hired. He came in as a senior strategist, which should have been fine. We needed more people, and honestly, I wasn't bitter about it. Marcus seemed nice enough, friendly, funny, always grabbing coffee with people around the office. We'd work on projects together, and he had decent ideas. Nothing revolutionary, but solid. I remember thinking, okay, this guy's all right. We could work well together. But then I started noticing things, small things at first. I'd pitch an idea in a meeting, something I'd developed over weeks, with research, competitive analysis, the whole thing. And Marcus would nod along, ask a few questions, then a week later present it as his own vision. He'd say things like, I was thinking about this approach, or I've been developing a strategy where, but it was mine. The wording was even similar to my notes. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe we'd just had similar ideas. That happens in creative fields, right? But then it kept happening. Every pitch I made, Marcus would circle back and take it to the senior leadership team with his name on it. The worst part was that no one seemed to notice. Or maybe they didn't care. Marcus was charming. He'd laugh with the executives, remember their kids' names, bring donuts on Fridays. He was the golden boy, and somehow I was becoming invisible. Then the director of marketing position opened up. This was the role I'd been working towards since year 3. This was my shot. I'd already been doing half the work, managing teams, setting strategy, handling our biggest accounts. It was a natural progression. I started preparing my portfolio, documenting all my successful campaigns, reaching out to mentors for advice on how to present myself. I felt ready. For the first time in years, I felt like something good was actually about to happen. The night before the interviews, I got a message from Jennifer, a friend in HR who I'd known since the startup days. She wanted to grab a drink. When we sat down, she looked uncomfortable, like she'd been rehearsing what to say. I shouldn't tell you this, she started, but I'm going to because we're friends and you deserve to know. She took a breath. Marcus has been going to Derek with a portfolio of work. All these campaigns and strategies that drove real results. Derek thinks it's brilliant. They're essentially already planning to offer him the role before the interviews even happen. My stomach dropped. What campaigns, I asked, but I already knew the answer. The ones you did, she said quietly. The Colton account rebrand, the Q3 social media expansion, the sustainability initiative. All of it. He presented them like they were his projects. I couldn't speak. I just sat there with my drink getting warm, trying to process how I'd let this happen. How I'd been so blind. What made it worse was the way Derek handled it. When I asked for a meeting and brought my own documentation, emails, project files with timestamps, messages where Marcus was responding to my briefs, Derek looked embarrassed. He said something like, "These things get murky in collaborative environments. It's hard to say who really drove what." He essentially told me I didn't have proof and that I sounded bitter. I didn't get the interview. Marcus did. He got the role, a 15% raise, and a corner office. I went home that night and genuinely considered leaving. I'd given this company 7 years of my life, and they'd rewarded my loyalty by promoting the guy who stole my work. I felt broken and stupid and furious all at once. But I didn't resign. Instead, I started making copies. Every email, every project file, every Slack conversation where I could prove I'd originated ideas. Every piece of evidence that Marcus had claimed credit for work that wasn't his. I documented everything meticulously. Then I reached out to my contacts. I had built real relationships over 7 years, people at other companies who respected my work, who'd seen me in action. I started interviewing. Within 2 months, I had an offer from Brennan Associates, a bigger firm doing more interesting work, at a salary 20% higher than what Marcus was making. But I didn't leave quietly. Before my final day, I scheduled a meeting with Derek and the executive team. I brought my evidence, organized, professional, irrefutable. I showed them how Marcus had systematically claimed credit for other people's work. I included testimony from the junior strategists he'd done the same thing to. I explained that this kind of behavior could expose them to serious liability issues, especially with contracts and client relationships. Derek's face went white. The executives looked murderous. I left Meridian on a Friday. By Monday, Marcus was on administrative leave pending an investigation. 2 weeks later, they terminated him. Not for the idea theft, that was too messy to prove legally, but for falsifying his credentials on his original job application. That was the one thing Jennifer had flagged in his file when she dug deeper. He'd lied about his previous experience, inflated his accomplishments at his last job. I heard through the grapevine that he ended up unemployed for months. His reputation tanked in the industry pretty quickly once word got around. He'd tried to apply at other agencies, but people talk. No one wanted to hire someone with a history of taking credit for others' work and lying on applications. I'm doing really well now at Brennan. I've got a team that respects me, leadership that values my ideas, and I'm building something real. Sometimes I wonder if I should feel guilty about what happened to Marcus, but honestly, I don't. He chose to betray my trust, he chose to lie, and he chose to do it to someone like me, someone who would eventually have the clarity to prove it. That's the thing about betrayal in the workplace. It always comes out eventually. And when it does, the fall is usually harder than it needed to be.